Shortly before his death, George Floyd made a video in which he said, "Our young generation is clearly lost." The recent mayhem across America may lead some to believe he was right. Greetings, my name is Joseph Yeager. Welcome to another Life in Perspective broadcast. My objective is to provide thought-provoking discussions so you can optimize your perspective on life. Today's message is a wake-up call and an opportunity to reflect on how fragile our society is, and the fact that although evil will always exist and rear its ugly head, it isn't limited to any race, religion, or profession any more than good is. Regardless of whether George Floyd had a rap sheet or not, the officers at the scene had no right to play executioner. We have a judicial protocol, and regardless of your opinion of it, every one of us is entitled to due process. Yes, it was evil, performed by those sworn to protect the Constitution. But these rogue few are not a reflection of the entire law enforcement community. Same goes for the losers who used the peaceful demonstrations attended by so many citizens who stood up for change for all people as a cover to perform acts of violence. These idiots were multiracial and performed violence against multiracial victims. These morons didn't care about George Floyd, his family, the peaceful demonstrators, their own race, or humanity. They didn't even care enough about the shame they brought on themselves and their families. Their behavior gave some merit to George Floyd's words. Before I continue, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so by clicking the subscribe link below. It's free and would be much appreciated. You may also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. As a white man, I will not pretend to understand how it feels to be in the shoes of any other person, let alone another race. So I prefer to look at and treat every person based on how they conduct themselves and treat others. Growing up as a Jew, I had my fair share of beatings, insult, and threats, and had to stand up for myself and others. For example, after one of my classmates was beaten and hospitalized, I too was part of an organized and peaceful protest against anti-Semitism with neo-Nazi skinheads foaming at the mouth to skin us, only to be held at bay by police. I don't know about you, but as far as I'm concerned, these officers probably saved a lot of lives that day. As much as I despise what Nazism stands for and the atrocities they perpetrated, I will not hold a grudge against present-day Germany and the German people for the sins of previous generations. Just like I don't hold a grudge against peaceful protesters, past, present, and future, because some brainless derelicts committed despicable acts of violence in the name of protest. Nor will I be disrespectful to a law enforcement officer who is doing his job professionally and is trying to get home to his family like I am. If an officer mistreats or acts unprofessionally towards me or my loved ones, I will use due process to express my grievance. That due process extends to every one of us. If you feel that because of your racial profile you get treated differently, continue to push as many before us have and get your justice. Because whether you agree with it or not, like it or not, there are wrongfully accused, murdered, abused, jailed, and mistreated victims in every race. And none of us have an excuse that justifies looting, burning, and killing in the name of justice. We are just beginning to emerge with great uncertainty still from an economic juggernaut that crippled many businesses and workers. As the fog begins to lift and these hard-working people are scrambling to put their lives back together, thousands of innocent business owners of diverse races and their businesses are being destroyed because of the action of 4 incompetent men. As far as I'm concerned, these 4 deserve what's coming to them and should be off the street as professionals and civilians. But why do innocent people and businesses have to pay the price? In my opinion, those looting and burning communities are far worse than the terrible 4 and deserve what's coming to them too. Furthermore, these fools actually believe that we will defund the police across America so they can have free rein to commit crimes. To these buttheads I say that you have a better chance of survival with the police on the street than without it. Because if you think that law-abiding citizens are going to be granting you the courtesy of an arrest and due process when you trespass on the property with the intent to harm them and their families, you are in for a rude awakening. I can assure you, they will not be the ones kneeling and apologizing for their privilege. As Sheriff Grady of Polk County, Florida said, if you value your life, you probably shouldn't do that because the people will be home with their guns loaded, and if you try to break into their homes, I highly recommend they blow you back out of their house with their guns. I have no doubt that the overwhelming majority of sheriffs in America share the sentiments, whether they are vocal about it or not. The Second Amendment is alive and well. They will exercise it accordingly and will not stop to consider your race in the process. And let me assure you, no one in his right mind will call Antifa or whatever you call yourselves for help in an emergency. It will still be the police. They may have a few bad apples, but you are 100% rotten. And since you're not smart enough to think for yourself, let me help you. These kiss-ass politicians who kneel before you to apologize for their white privilege and are embellishing the statistics of gun violence are insulting you by exploiting your ignorance and your faith in their energetic and charismatic rhetoric and makeshift ethnic costumes. They know that most of their constituents won't bother to look up the statistics for themselves and just take their word for it. They will say and do anything to get your vote, and when they fail to deliver and their lies are exposed, they blame someone else for it. When was the last time one of these self-proclaimed people of the people paid you a visit and offered help they actually intend to follow through on? Look at your life. How has it changed for the better because of them? If you're looting and have the audacity to sell stolen goods on eBay, you have your answer. You'd be far better served following the example of underprivileged youth who chose a different path and didn't use their race card or their underprivileged upbringing as an excuse, but rather as fuel to become and do something great. Singer Ella Fitzgerald, black, was homeless. Jennifer Lopez, Hispanic, was homeless. Steve Harvey, black, slept in his car. Jack Ma, Asian, born into poverty and bullied. Actor Jim Carrey, white, slept in a tent on his sister's front lawn. Actress Hilary Swank, white, slept in her car. Oprah Winfrey, black, born into poverty and sexually abused. You only need look within your communities for such people who get up every day and whether they struggle or not, lead productive lives and support their families. Why should they kneel and apologize for the privilege they sacrifice so much for to a bunch of criminals who are too lazy, ignorant, and selfish to even be acknowledged as anything but domestic terrorists? I have my values and will stand firm on them. I respect everyone's right to have theirs, whether I agree with them or not. As long as we don't harm each other in the process, it's a recipe for growth and progress through healthy debates. That is what peaceful protest is about. Peacefully speaking up for what you believe, the right to be heard, and continuing to fight to bring about changes we can be proud of rather than threatened by. I am blessed to be part of a worldwide community of magnificent people of every race and religion who are devoted to making the world a better place, and they start by first becoming the best version of themselves and impacting change in their immediate communities. No one has to apologize for who they are, and differences are embraced. We don't make excuses, use the past as a crutch, or blame others for where we are in life. We don't even agree on everything, but we look for a better way through sheer will and collaboration and understand the responsibility of setting an example for future generations to follow. So, if you come to your senses and want to help, we welcome you. If not, move aside or be removed. Please let me know what topics you would like my perspective on in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.